For years, they had prayed in silence. Not the kind of prayers shouted from rooftops or broadcasted to the world, but quiet, persistent whispers spoken in the stillness of night. Each plea carried on trembling lips, held tightly in the hearts of those who bore burdens unseen. They were the forgotten, the weary souls who labored tirelessly, their efforts unnoticed, their sacrifices invisible to the crowds rushing by. In the deepest struggles, when hope was nothing more than a fragile thread barely holding on, they refused to surrender. Their faith was a silent flame, flickering but unextinguished, illuminating the darkest corners of their lives. Day after day, year after year, they endured the waiting for change, for breakthrough, for a sign that their struggles would not be in vain. And tonight, amid the quiet hum of anticipation, a whisper spread among them, soft but powerful, like a secret shared in the hush of the waiting room. Tuesday is the day when what was promised, long awaited, would finally come to pass. Hearts that had been weary now beat with cautious hope. Eyes that had looked into the abyss found a spark of light. In this small gathering of souls, united by faith and endurance, the waiting room was no longer just a place of delay. It became the threshold of destiny. Small miracles began to unfold in the most unexpected ways. Like gentle ripples on a still pond, these moments of grace touched their lives quietly but profoundly. A stranger's smile, warm and genuine, broke through the coldness of a weary day, reminding them that kindness still lived in the world. A sudden job offer arrived like a beacon, opening doors that had seemed sealed shut for years. A healing touch, whether through a friend's comforting hand or the soft whisper of a prayer answered, brought relief to bodies and souls alike. It was as if the universe itself leaned in, listening intently to their silent pleas, nodding in acknowledgment of their steadfast faith. The storm around them, the struggles, the doubts, the fears began to soften, replaced by faint glimmers of hope that shimmered like stars behind dark clouds. Yet, the chosen understood the sacred rhythm of waiting. They knew that these small blessings were not the final prize, but signs, gentle nudges urging them to keep moving forward with patience and trust. Their true payday was not measured in earthly coins or fleeting success, but in spiritual riches that grew within them: strength, wisdom, grace, and an unshakable peace. With every trial weathered and every storm endured, they drew closer to the destiny promised, a reward far greater than they had ever imagined, waiting just beyond the horizon. Every chosen one fought a battle that no one else could see, a silent war waged in the quiet corners of their hearts and minds. It was a struggle against loneliness that wrapped around them like a cold shadow, isolating them even when surrounded by others. Doubt crept in like a whispered lie, questioning their worth, their purpose, and the path ahead. The weight of invisible chains bound them tightly. Fears unspoken, burdens carried alone, and the crushing pressure of expectations, both self-imposed and from the world around them. Yet, despite the heavy darkness pressing in, they stood tall. Their armor was faith, fierce, unyielding, and bright. It was faith that kindled their inner fire when the night seemed endless. Faith that whispered, "You are not alone." Faith that reminded them that the unseen battles were the very tests designed to strengthen their spirit. They had learned through countless trials that true rewards never come before the test. The victory, the breakthrough, the long-awaited blessing, all arrive only after the struggle has been endured, after the patience has been proven. This understanding transformed their pain into power and their suffering into purpose. With each unseen battle fought and won, they grew stronger, more resilient, and more certain that the payday awaiting them was worth every hardship endured. On a quiet Monday evening, just as the sun dipped below the horizon and the world began to soften into twilight, a mysterious letter arrived. It was unlike any other they had received before. No fancy stamps, no return address, no indication of who had sent it. The envelope itself was plain, almost humble, yet its presence carried an undeniable weight, stirring something deep within the hearts of those who found it. Inside, a single message was written in elegant, flowing script. Prepare. Tuesday is your reward. The words were simple, yet charged with profound meaning. Like a spark igniting a dormant flame, the message sent ripples through the waiting room where the chosen gathered. Whispers spread quickly, at first tentative, questioning, but soon these murmurs blossomed into a chorus of faith. What had once been fragile, hope transformed into unwavering belief. No longer were they merely waiting. They were preparing, their minds sharpening, their spirits steadying, their hearts opening wider than ever before. The message was a sign, a promise, a call to readiness that bound them together in shared anticipation. Tuesday was no longer just a day on the calendar. It had become a beacon of destiny, a turning point fast approaching. And as the stars blinked awake in the darkening sky, the chosen stood poised, ready to step into the reward that had been promised all along. Morning broke gently, spilling golden hues across the horizon like a tender promise of new beginnings. The first light filtered through windows, painting walls with warmth and hope. In homes scattered across cities and quiet towns alike, the chosen began to stir, their hearts awakening alongside the dawn. Some gathered with loved ones around kitchen tables, sharing quiet smiles and whispered prayers, the air thick with anticipation. Others found themselves drawn to ancient churches, their footsteps echoing softly on worn stone floors as they sought solace and strength in sacred spaces. And some stood alone, wrapped in the stillness of their rooms, their eyes closed as they breathed deeply, centering their spirits in the calm before what was to come. Though their settings were different, their hearts beat in unison, full of expectation and peace. There was no rush, no anxiety, only a steady calm that hummed beneath their skins. It was the calm of those who had waited long and learned patience. The calm of those who knew that something sacred was unfolding. As the sun climbed higher, the world seemed to hold its breath, watching quietly as the chosen prepared to step forward into the promise of the day. The dawn of Tuesday, the day when all their silent prayers might finally find their answer. Not all rewards come wrapped in gold or measured by numbers in a bank account. For the chosen, the true riches were often invisible to the eye, but deeply felt within the soul. On this day, many discovered blessings far greater than any material fortune. Some received healed relationships, bonds once fractured by pain and misunderstanding mended with gentle forgiveness and renewed trust. Where once there had been silence or bitterness, now flowed conversations filled with warmth and hope. Families, friends, and hearts long estranged found their way back to one another, creating a tapestry of love stronger than before. Others found newfound strength, a resilience born not from physical might, but from an unshakable spirit forged in the fires of trial. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable now felt conquerable. With steady steps and steady hearts, they faced the world anew, carrying confidence that no storm could break. And many were gifted with a profound peace, a deep and abiding calm that outshone all earthly treasures. This peace settled like a gentle balm over their restless minds, silencing fears and worries. It was a peace that transcended circumstances, a quiet joy that no hardship could steal. These rewards, unseen by the world yet priceless in their depth, were the true payday. For the chosen, it was proof that the most valuable treasures are not counted in coins, but in healed hearts, strengthened souls, and the unbreakable peace that comes from faith fulfilled. As each chosen one embraced their reward, something extraordinary began to happen. Their light, once dimmed by struggle and doubt, now burned brightly, casting a warm glow that extended far beyond themselves. This light wasn't just a symbol of personal victory. It became a beacon that reached into the lives of others, inspiring hope where despair once lived. With every healed relationship, every newfound strength, and every peaceful heart, the chosen unknowingly set off a chain reaction. Acts of kindness multiplied, Courage blossomed in unexpected places, and faith, once fragile, grew resilient in the hearts of those who witnessed the transformation. Like ripples spreading across a still lake, their blessings moved outward, touching strangers, friends, families, and communities. The true payday was not merely the reward they had received, it was the effect of that reward spreading like wildfire. Love flowed freely, bridging gaps and building new connections. Faith rekindled itself in places thought long lost to doubt. Hope, once a fragile ember, ignited into a roaring flame. In this beautiful unfolding, the chosen learned that their journey was never just about themselves. Their struggles, their patience, their victories, all served a higher purpose. The ripple effect of their faith and love became the greatest reward of all, weaving an unbreakable tapestry of light that could not be dimmed. Tuesday had come and gone, its promise fulfilled in ways both seen and unseen. Yet, as the sun set on that day of blessing, the chosen understood deeply that their journey was far from over. The reward they had received was not an endpoint, but a powerful new beginning. It was a call to action, a sacred responsibility bestowed upon their hearts. They knew that blessings carried with them a duty, to uplift those still waiting in the shadows, to lead with humility and courage, and to keep the flame of faith burning brightly for others to follow. Their reward was not simply to be enjoyed in silence, but to be shared generously, multiplied through acts of compassion, guidance, and unwavering hope. With renewed purpose, the chosen began preparing for the next chapter of their lives. They sharpened their spirits and strengthened their resolve, knowing that challenges would continue to come. But now, they faced the future armed with the wisdom born of trials and the grace gifted by their reward. This was a season of growth, a time to build on the foundation laid in the waiting room and the storms endured. They embraced the truth that true faith is a journey, one that requires continual courage, constant trust, and the readiness to serve. And so, with hearts full of gratitude and eyes fixed on the horizon, the chosen stepped forward, ready to write the next chapter, a story of hope, leadership, and endless possibility. The stories began as whispers, fragile threads of hope passed quietly from heart to heart. But like the morning sun piercing through the darkest night, these testimonies grew, spreading warmth and light that could no longer be contained. The chosen, once invisible and unheard, now stood as living proof of miracles wrought by faith and perseverance. Among them were tales of miraculous turnarounds that defied logic and expectation. A woman, burdened by years of despair, had found her health restored after a sudden healing touch during her darkest hour. Her voice, once trembling with fear, now rang clear with gratitude and renewed purpose. A man who had lost everything, his job, his home, his family's trust, saw doors open where once there were only walls. Through steadfast patience and faith, he rebuilt not only his livelihood, but also the broken bonds of love around him. Quiet strength was the hallmark of many testimonies. They were not loud or boastful, but steady, deep wells of resilience that inspired all who heard them. One young mother, overwhelmed by hardship, spoke of how she found peace in the midst of chaos, a peace that kept her going when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm. Another shared how a long-standing addiction was broken, not by force, but by the gentle whisper of hope that faith planted in his heart. Unwavering faith united them all. It was faith that had carried them through sleepless nights, endless waiting, and the temptation to give up. It was faith that transformed scars into stories of victory, doubt into conviction, and pain into purpose. These testimonies became beacons, guiding lights for others lost in their own storms. Wherever the chosen went, their stories traveled ahead, reaching ears eager for hope and eyes searching for proof that heaven's timing is perfect. People gathered in homes, churches, and community centers to hear these accounts, each one reinforcing a truth long held but often forgotten, that divine timing is never early and never late. It arrives exactly when it is meant to, bringing blessings that outshine human understanding. In this shared testimony, a powerful community was born. It was a fellowship bound not by blood or proximity, but by the shared journey of waiting, believing, and receiving. Letters arrived from distant towns. Messages flowed across social media, and gatherings swelled as more and more hearts were touched by the undeniable evidence of miracles. Some stories were woven with tears, tears of sorrow turned into joy, of brokenness healed by grace. Others carried laughter, the lightness of spirits freed from burdens long carried. Through every narrative, the heartbeat was the same, a testimony of hope fulfilled, a song of faith rewarded. And as these testimonies multiplied, they forged an unbreakable chain, linking the chosen together in purpose and power. Their light pierced darkness, their voices echoed truth, and their lives proclaimed the glory of a timing beyond human measure, a timing perfectly orchestrated by heaven itself. The chosen gathered once more, their faces radiant with quiet joy and deep knowing. It was no longer about a single Tuesday or a solitary moment of reward. Their smiles carried the weight of eternity, a profound understanding that transcended time and circumstance. Every Tuesday, every day, was watched by heaven, and every step they took was witnessed by a presence far greater than themselves. They had learned that the true payday is not always found in grand gestures or sudden miracles. It is woven into the fabric of everyday life, hidden in moments too subtle for the hurried eye. A whispered word of encouragement, a hand held in solidarity, a breath taken in peace amidst chaos. Their faith had grown beyond the tangible, reaching into the eternal, where promises do not fade and blessings never cease. In the quiet of dawn, as light spilled softly over the earth, the chosen would often pause, reflecting on the journey that had brought them here. They remembered the waiting rooms, the storms, the unseen battles fought in silence. Each trial had been a stepping stone, each hardship a teacher. And now, standing on this foundation, they faced the future with hearts unburdened and spirits aflame. The eternal promise was not a distant dream, but a living reality, a covenant between heaven and those who dared to believe. It whispered to them in their moments of doubt and lifted them when weariness threatened. It was a promise that no matter how long the wait, no matter how deep the struggle, their payday would always come. Not always as they expected, not always in ways the world could measure, but in ways infinitely greater. This promise infused their lives with meaning and purpose. They became beacons of hope, carrying the light of faith into the darkest places. Their testimonies were not just stories of what had been, but declarations of what was yet to come, a future bright with possibility and peace. And so, with every sunrise and every Tuesday, the chosen smiled, not because their journey was over, but because they knew the hand of heaven was always upon them. Their payday was eternal, a gift beyond all earthly treasure, forever unfolding in love, grace, and unending hope.